Hello, guys, and welcome to another night of the Child's Place. I am your host, Real the Comedian, and I'm sitting here with
Money Malk, welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Got an interesting topic for tonight, and we're gonna let Real the Comedian take the stage on this one.
yes. Tonight's topic is called "Do
Different to get different.
Yes. So it's so many different ways that you can look at it. We're going to try our best to go over as many as we can, just so that we don't leave nobody out and nothing out. We just want to be able to move it around a little bit and look at it from different perspectives, other than just running it all the way in a hole with one. So I hope that everybody gets the experience that they're looking for in this topic. Again, we're speaking our truth. So stay along for the ride. I'll start off doing different to get different. To me, what that means when I hear it, it's about change. Change is a part of life, is necessary. But you definitely want to make sure that whatever you're deciding to change or making a decision over changing, that you have thought it through. I am a thinker. I try not to be an overthinker. I don't want to think about it so long that I make the wrong decision. Back in school when you wrote that first answer, you was going with it, but then you change it at the last minute because you overthinked it, overthought it, and then you find out from the teacher that you should have just left it and went with your first instance because it was right. So I have been victim of that several times through school. So I do know that about myself. And that's the biggest thing, is to spend time on learning who you are, how you think, your weaknesses and your strengths. Especially when you're making a decision that can impact your life. When it's something that is, important, like picking a residence or marrying somebody. I just feel like those type of things do require a certain level of processing. I don't want to just jump and marry somebody because everybody's getting married around me. I don't want to just purchase this home without making sure I get it fully inspected, and do what I need to do to kind of like do my homework and my research to make sure that this is the home that I want to be at. And sometimes people are more spontaneous than that. I get it. We living in a time where people want what they want now. That's why we have a lot of things that are more fast paced and convenient, Instagram, Instacart, everything is like, boom, we want it right now, delivered to our door, and I understand that. However, I guess I'm a little bit old school when it comes down to just sitting down, thinking about it, maybe asking a opinion of, like, maybe even my husband, since I am married, or close friends, or just my support system, going to them and sharing it with them, the ones that I know is rooting for me and want the best for me, before I make a decision. I will say that sometimes it does cause me to miss out, because some things needs your answer right then. Some things is like, if you do not give me a response right now, then you might miss this opportunity. So it really, for me, it depends on exactly what it is. What am I deciding? Am I deciding on where I'm gonna go shopping or vacation, or am I deciding on having a baby, and, like I said, doing something like marriage or purchasing a home? I just feel like those things make it different. So I would need to know exactly what I would be deciding. How do you feel about that?
So the reason why I picked this topic, actually, to give the backstory, is because I have a friend of mine that's currently dealing with an issue where he's 18 years old. He's being kicked out of the house, and the reason he's being kicked out of the house is because his parents, father, whatever the case may be, just feels as if it's time for him to spread his wings. And with knowing that, my biggest question that I'm struggling to understand is, why does a person struggle so much to do something different, to get something different? Now, where I'm going with this is, when he got the news that he was getting kicked out, his immediate reaction was, I'm going to go and I'm going to work more hours doing DoorDash. He felt as if he does more hours with DoorDash, he would be able to pay the rent. So he signed the lease for a new apartment, and his plan is, I'm going to do more hours with DoorDash to be able to pay the rent. Now, with doing different to get different, he's been doing DoorDash. And while he hasn't had his own apartment, he's had, some struggles with doing DoorDash, such as you do DoorDash and your car breaks down. You're doing DoorDash and it's like you're making the money, but then the next thing that's going to come up from making the money is you're delivering people's food. So now that you're smelling all of this food, you're doing all of these orders, what's going to end up happening next is you're going to end up buying the food. So for me, I always said that I feel as if DoorDash is an illusion of an inclusion, where it's giving you the illusion that because you're making money, quote unquote, that you're included in actually having money in the bank, when it doesn't work like that to me. So I'm just trying to understand more so, what can we say to people of all age groups that struggle with doing something different to get something different, especially when they know they need to do something different, but they just come up with all of these different excuses for why they're going to push pause on situations.
I mean, I just feel like if you're a gullible person, you're a gullible person at the end of the day. If you can't walk through the store without having to purchase what you see at the register when you know you walked in and that's not what you're here for, and the reason I say that to say this from what you're saying about the person that's deciding to do more DoorDash or what have you, and that possibility about purchasing more food because you're now around more food. You have to practice and study and be disciplined in anything that you do. You know what I'm saying? So if you have it in your mind already that I have this plan, let's think about it. It's been times where I know I need to come up with a certain amount to pay my light bill, and I know that means that I'm going to have to not order out as much or not maybe hang out this weekend. It depends on, again, the person, because for me, when I know what I gotta do, I do what I gotta do. And I feel like if he knows that he needs to do DoorDash to pay his rent, then he knows that when he go in that line, to pick up orders, that he's not going to order. When you are somebody that's not disciplined and you all over the place, or somebody that haven't experienced getting evicted. I've been evicted before, and once you've gotten evicted and you know that that's real, that those decisions count. What you doing with your funds? So for me, it's just like, what kind of person is this? Is it somebody that, age ain't nothing but a number. I know a lot of mature people that are 18, 19, 20, 21, and making big moves, in life, and are able to make it through like decision making when it comes down to paying rent or paying a car note. But if you're the type of person that as soon as you see it, you got to have it, and everything else that you're working hard for goes out the window, then it really doesn't matter what your occupation is. That's the kind of demeanor you have. You need to work on that. That's where you got to start, because if you do work on that, then you'll be able to see something and not have to have it. I'm able to tell my friends I don't got it. It used to be a time where I didn't feel comfortable with doing that, for feeling like I could be maybe like, the broke friend, or considered the one that, always ain't got it. But my whole thing was, at the end of the day, once you experience a lot of those experiences of being without something because you spent something that you wasn't supposed to, once you know what it's like to be like hungry or wondering where your next meal gonna come from, that's what I've experienced. So for me, it's like, at this moment, you need to tell that person or make this decision that makes sense for you and your situation, because you might be telling me, or somebody might be around you saying, hey, let's go do this, it's going to be fun and you should do it and loosen up and you'll enjoy it, and all those things might be true and it might be right. But is that person going to be there when you ain't got enough to pay your bills? Is that person going to be there when you don't got no food? Is that person going to be there to put gas in the tank when the party is over this weekend? So it's like, you got to be thinking, and that's my whole thing. I always pray for understanding. Like, I got to understand what's going on first. Like, I'm not just going to jump and make a decision that could change my life for the worse when I know I don't have a security blanket besides me and my husband.
But I feel like people already understand what their situations is. The problem is, why can't we get them to a place where they know that it's time to do something different? Well, first of all, they know it's time to do something different, but why are they struggling so hard with doing something different to get something different? If, for example, the biggest thing that I hear, and I'm not just speaking about the friend that's getting evicted. Right. I mean, I have friends. I could think of a girl right now where she's in a physically abusive relationship with a guy, and not for nothing, but the guy don't bring nothing to the table. She acts as if she hit the lottery, but he could be compared with the looks of Ike Turner, and unemployed. He's not doing anything. And she knows that when she's speaking to me, she can say it out her mouth, I need to get away from him. It's not good for my child, and this is just not the life that I want. But her actions are not matching with that. So when I compare her to the other friend that's getting kicked out, the same thing that I could say that I guess they would say that's the same is, they have this thing about they're scared of failing. But my whole thing to the person is, you don't understand, by you already staying in that situation, you have failed. So for the friend that got kicked out and he decided to go sign a lease without having a steady stream of income or knowing that that's something that doesn't work, you just set yourself up for failure. You're scared to go try a different job because you're scared. What if that doesn't work out? But what you're doing is already not working out. For the friend that's in the abusive relationship, you're scared to go and leave this guy because you don't know what life is going to look like after, but you're staying with him and you already know that that's not working. So what are you scared of failing at if you are already failing at what you're doing?
I mean, I just feel like if you like it, I love it. Sometimes you can see things on the outside of a situation that a person on the inside of that situation just don't see. And that's life. That friend that's dealing with that person that's not the best person for her, she's with him for a reason. And her reason and her tolerance and the way that she feels, it's obvious that she likes what she's dealing with. And I feel like if she like it, I love it. She must appreciate something else about the person. In other words, I feel like a lot of times people have weaknesses within themselves and they end up with people that are not so good for them, like abusive or narcissistic and stuff, because of their own insecurities or because of their own lack thereof. You know what I mean? So it's probably some other stuff that she feels like within herself that's not where it needs to be to build her confidence, to build her security, so that she can have the mindset to say, this is not a good relationship, it's not healthy. And a lot of times people prey on people like that, friend. They look for women and men that have insecurities and have issues, and they prey on them and they find them and they manipulate and they control and they try to make them feel like that one thing that they lack. Say, for instance, that friend lacked love and affection as a child. So even though she's with what could be like Ike Turner, he might be blackening her eyes, but he also might be filling her cup in those areas. And because depending on how much she want that love and affection that she feels is love and affection, some people are willing to experience that for a very, very long time.
But I think we just moved the goalposts. Because I'm not necessarily trying to narrow in on each of those individual situations. Yeah. I'm more so looking to see what advice, I guess I could say it this way, what advice is it that we could give to somebody that's in a situation where they know they need to do something different to get something different, or they know it's time for a change, but they're scared to make the change. And I just use those two situations, but it could even be a third person as maybe they're struggling with making a decision on a new job. They know it's time to change the job. They're in a very toxic work environment. Even myself, I've worked in different work environments, from fast food to retail to sales. I've done it all, and I've noticed that they all are toxic. It's a different job that seems to be like, oh, maybe this one will be better, but overall it's the same thing with different people. So I guess what I'm more so asking is, what would be the advice that we could give to somebody that's in a situation where it's time for them to make a decision, but the main thing that I hear is fear. So the fear, quote unquote, is the thing that's stopping them.
Well, for me, it could be anything, but again, it depends on the person and what their holdup is. One person, it could be fear. One person, it could be they're comfortable in that uncomfortable situation. Believe it or not, some people like to struggle. Some people want to stay in that situation. They never want to get out of it. I know people right now that you can't pay them to leave the zone, the area that they live in. They gonna live there until the day they leave this world, and they're content with that. They're okay with that. And you might on the outside look at that like, oh no, it's so much more to the world, but to them that is their world, and they don't want to step outside that bubble. So my whole thing is, we all have to live our own truth. My advice to a person that's about to make a decision that could create change in their life is to make the best decision that suits their life and that suits them, that makes them happy. I think we all should live for our own happiness, not for somebody else's. So if you choose to work at DoorDash or to work in fast food or to work in, real estate, whatever it is that you really want to do with your life, I can't judge you. I can't sit here and say you're not going to be successful because you're not doing what I think you should do or what I'm doing. I just can't see myself ever coming to that, because like I say, a lot of people don't want certain things in life. You got to want it, for one. And when you want things, it motivates you. It makes you more motivated. So I say stick to what you feel is your purpose, your love, whatever that is, get into it. One thing I learned a long time ago is it's a profession for everything. So if you like doing hair, do hair. If you Go to the highest level of doing hair that you can. Push yourself. And when you really love doing what you're doing, it's not going to feel like work, and it's not going to feel hard to you. When I get on my podcasts or I'm on my live streams, I'm naturally in my habitat. I don't have to write anything down. I don't have to practice. It's natural for me. It's second nature. I don't think twice about it. And whenever I've tried, it's always been disastrous. So I always stick to the things that I love, even if what I love changes. Maybe this month I love doing podcasts. Maybe next month I'll want to do more of my live videos or coaching, whatever it is. I live my life and I live amongst my means. I don't try to keep up with the Kardashians. I would say don't try to keep up with anybody around you, the things that they have and the things that they, want out of life. Because if that's not what you want, or if that's not what you want to have, then that's not you. Live your truth. You're going to love your life more. I feel like whatever that looks like, so I would encourage that person to go with what they want to do with their life. Because if you don't love it or you don't like it, you're not going to appreciate it. When you get that vehicle, when you come up and you get a vehicle and you like, okay, this is the vehicle. I need a car to get to and from work. It's nice. It's nothing like the appreciation of the vehicle that you really want, though. When you get that vehicle, vice versa, that you really want, you're going to do everything to keep that vehicle. You're going to pay your car note on time. You're going to, keep it clean. You're going to do more to keep it in your life because you love that vehicle or like that vehicle. But if it's just a car that's getting you from point A to point B, you're not going to treat it the same way. So I just feel like if we could get in our grasp the things that we really want in this life, then we'll appreciate it more. And I have that experience. The things that I've worked for myself, I appreciated it more than the things that was given to me or what somebody else wanted me to do. And I lived a lot of my life for everybody else. So, I have a lot of experience in those areas. And that's why this topic is a really great one for me. And I do try to be as open-minded as possible, but I try to be real. And at the end of the day, you can make a decision that suits the person in front of you, or you can make a decision that you truly want to do. And a lot of times people want to push themselves on you or influence you to do what they want you to do with their life, with your life. And, to me, I've never been that kind of friend. I've never been that kind of person, because me being a life coach, I have an opportunity to speak to people about the stuff that they really feel, and I've talked to people that have felt like, all they want to do is tell their mother or father that that's not what they want to do, but they don't have the guts to do it, and so they're not happy. They're seeping into this dark place, in this dark hole. They're contemplating unaliving themselves. They're doing a whole lot of things that could take them from this world. And when you really think about it, if it's going to cost this person their life, is it so bad that they're doing whatever they're doing? It's not, to me. I value the person more than I value anything. So me being living proof, sitting right here before y'all, knowing that my baby brother unalived himself, I'm very conscious of the mental, and I understand the different dynamics of it, the things that people really do go through because of trying to reach something that they don't even really want. As much as you're looking at it, like I have a friend that's a princess in Greece, and she has it, but she lives back home in Baltimore. She is a whole princess. She could go in Greece and be treated like royalty right now, any day. And I remember as a kid, her inviting me to go on a trip to Greece. My family wouldn't let me go. They said it was too far and I might not come back. But I remember one day I went in her room and I saw this big case on the floor, and it was filled up with money. And all of this money belonged to her dad. And it literally was his face, it was his money, coins that was hers. And she was just like showing me pictures and things of in Greece and the stuff that is hers. And I'm like, why would you stay here when you can go there and they're going to treat you like royalty? But her response was, she loved her mother. She loved her life here. She doesn't like to be treated like that. So again, I guess until you actually have the experience of certain things and luxuries and stuff, you really just don't know how you would respond in that situation. So I say live for yourself, your own happiness, have a plan, do the work, the self-work, self-care, self-motivation. Life begins with you. It ends with you. Do what you want to do with your life, and you're going to feel good, so that when the day comes that you're not here no more, when they get to writing about you or thinking about you or your legacy, you can be proud of the fact that you got to experience life and live it to the fullest, instead of just existing in the shadows of somebody else. That's how I feel.
I feel like you got to be careful with telling people to do what they want with their life.
What?
Because some people, are not, I want to say some people are not mature enough to ultimately do what they need to do. They're going to do what they want to. See, I'm trying to think how to explain that the right way, but I just feel like some
I
people,
got
for
you.
example, is there's a girl right now and she's in a toxic relationship that's verbally and physically abusive. She may
Hmm.
want to stay with this guy, but that's not what she needs to do, I guess is where I'm trying to go with it.
Hmm.
Or for example, if I use my other friend, he may want to do DoorDash because he mentally is in a place where he
Right.
feels as if that's what I should be doing. Like, I want to do DoorDash because I want to make money, but
Hmm.
that's not what you need to be doing to better the situation that you're in. You just obligated yourself to paying rent.
Hmm.
Or even if I'm looking back at the girl in the relationship side of it, you just obligated yourself to a child. So you may want to stay with this man, but you need to get away from him for the better sake of the child.
Well, I had a friend before that was in an abusive relationship, and I tried to do any and everything I could to persuade this friend to, connect this friend to a resource. I tried to be supportive of this friend, and I lie to you not. A lot of times when you try to encourage people to leave people, and even as a life coach, I tell people time and time again, you will never have to worry about me telling you to leave somebody, even if they're black and in your eye, black and blue, because I learned the hard way that a person is going to do what they want to do, whether I tell them or allow them or not. They're going to do what they want to do. And a lot of times you lose that person because think about it, coming up when you wanted to date somebody, even if it was somebody that your family or your parents did not, approve of, you still was going to do it, whether you had to sneak and do it or not, whether they was good for you or not, you was going to do it. And if you had to hide to do it or sneak and do it, you're going to do it. And I feel like you're going to lose that friend where you could still be in that friend's ear and be supportive and be there for that friend as much as you can be there, and not just be another person that leaves her with the monster. You just continue to love on her. I guess if we could teach people more of what love is, they'll learn what love is not in turn, and be able to wise up and make those decisions, but to be like judgmental over that friend that's with that person, or constantly telling that friend you shouldn't be with that person because that person is doing this to you and that to you, at the end of the day, that's going to make that friend not want to be around me, and that's going to make me and that friend's relationship estranged, and then I lose a friend or she lose an outlet. And with the person that's making that decision to jump out there and do DoorDash and get in this place, you gotta crawl before you walk. Falling down is not so bad because you get back up again and you learn something from that last fall. So for me, it's like fall 5, 10, 15 times, whatever it takes for you. It might have took 3 times for me. How many times did it take you to pass to get your license? It's different. So that friend might fall 3 times before they get it right, and that's okay. Who's to say we gotta jump out, do it this way, and become whatever? Why? I need to fall.
I'm not saying it needs to be done a specific way, but
Yeah.
I feel like us as people need to get to a place where we're okay with encouraging people to be up to their full potential. I'm not going to tell you that you need to crawl if I think you have the ability to get up and run. I know
Facts.
people in my life that they don't need to crawl. They have a skill set where they could just get up and they could run, but they've been around so many people that keep trying to tell them that
Mm.
they're not even ready to crawl. So they don't even see that they have the ability to run. So
And
I
to
would
me,
tread
that's why
lightly with that.
they at the level of crawling. Then, if they are not walking or running because of the influences around them, then even though they may possess the ability to excel in that area, they're still at a place mentally where they're crawling before they walk, when you really think about it, because
But
you
why
can
are they
tell
at
me
that
whatever you
place?
want to tell me. I'm still going to do what I want to do at the end of the day. But if I appreciate who you are as a person, you bro, you my mother, you my aunt, I respect you. I might hear you out. I might sit down and listen to you because I care about what you're saying. You feel me? So it's like, yeah, I'll sit here and give you that. But at the end of the day, whether a person tell you or not, what they don't want to hear, they're gonna let go in one ear and out the other.
I
And
agree.
my whole thing is in my messages when I'm doing my lives and I'm speaking out to the people, I'm always like, I always know in my mind that a person gonna take what they want and throw the rest away. I could talk for a whole hour and you only take one thing that I say and run with it. Think about it. The stuff we post. You just said all this stuff and a person look at it and they saying something to you about this little piece and you like, I said all this and you talking to me about this little piece because you didn't even hear all of this. You only zoomed in on what you selective hearing. So I'm not wasting my time. I got a life to live. And if I find myself too invested in what you got going on, it's going to obviously take from what I need to be having going on. So for me, it's hypocritical because it's like I'm sitting here wasting my time telling you what you could be doing, but I could be doing something better for my life, because you never actually reach the top. The sky has no limit. So it's like, even if you got X, Y, and Z, you could have more, So instead, once I give you advice and you don't take it, have you ever had somebody in a situation and you've given them all this advice and you've supported them through it, you've helped them out, you gave them favors, you picked them up when they got the flat, you telling them they need a new car, like, get the new car, they don't want to spend the money, and you like, well, I'm tired of picking you up, like, I'm tired of helping you out of this hole, but you keep getting back in this hole because you need to make a change, right? And how much do you do that before you like, I'm not even gonna answer the phone when they call me again? It ruins relationships. That's why I don't encourage people to do that. And my whole thing is, if you leave people alone and let them come to an understanding of their own, they're going to make that decision sooner. Because like you said, when there's so many people telling you what to do, you really don't know who to go with. You telling me this and you might be right.
But that's why when I give out the advice, I always tell a person to make sure that, for me personally, if it's anything related to like business, for example, for myself, I don't let everybody give me their opinions. I don't even take half of my business problems to people, especially if they don't own a business. And what I always tell people to do is, if it's a lot going on, you're in a situation where maybe you're in an abusive relationship or you're getting kicked out of a house or whatever the case may be, I would want to find somebody. If I'm getting kicked out of my house, I want to find somebody that's been in the same situation as me. I want to find 3 of these people, and I want to sit these 3 people down, not together, separately, have conversations with them to kind of like just tell them what my situation is and see what's the advice they give me. Right. I would take the advice from these 3 people, and then I would take my own thoughts, and then I would compare and contrast and see, maybe all 3 of these people told me the same thing and I'm thinking that same thing. Then I could ultimately make my decision. But I'm not going to whisper my problems into 100 people's ears, because that too much feedback actually is an overwhelming thing, especially for somebody that struggles with overthinking. Like myself, I struggle with overthinking. So when I wanted to even open up my company and I tried to present this idea to a room full of people, all of the different opinions I got, while it seemed like it didn't do anything to me, when I went home and I was really thinking about it, I had to listen to auntie's opinion. I had to listen to uncle's opinion. I had to listen to my cousin's opinion. It felt like the dog had something to say, and I'm listening to what the dog was thinking, to the point where I'm not even listening to what I'm thinking. I'm listening to what everybody else around me is thinking. So I'm real big on, if you want to start a business, don't take business advice from somebody and then start a business. If you want to go and get yourself a new job, don't talk to somebody that's unemployed about getting a new job.
Well, I agree, and it's going to sound a little a little hypocritical in a way, because I like to think outside and look at different approaches with everything. So I'm like overthinking out loud right now, because I'm an overthinker to an extent as well. I think most of us fall victim to that. But what I will say is, I love advice. I think it's needed, it's necessary. It should be appreciated more, I feel like, but a lot of times it's not. However, I do understand that why you would say you would want to go to somebody that owns a business to get owning a business advice. Or I like to say all the time, if I want to learn how to drive a car, I need to hang with people that's driving cars, because a person catching the bus can only teach me how to catch the bus. And I get that. However, I can't let that negate the fact that I have gotten great advice from people who may have not actually achieved the goal. You're not hairstylist, licensed hairstylist, but you in your kitchen, you shut it down. You should be a licensed hairstylist. You might not want that. You might not actually want that. I've spoken to a lot of hairstylists that tell me I prefer to do it in my kitchen. It's not that I couldn't go to school for it. It's not, that's not me. I make good money. I do good for myself this way, and this is the way I like it. So just because you don't have the degree doesn't mean you don't have the knowledge, doesn't mean you don't have the ability, So I don't want to say that I can't learn nothing from this bum on the corner, because I can. That bum on the corner got on that corner from making a poor decision, and I feel like we all one decision away from being that bum on the corner, and that's how I live my life, and that's why I feel like, that's one of the things that keep me from becoming that bum on the corner, is because I realize that even when I'm not on rock bottom, that rock bottom still exists for somebody, So I'm just very mindful. I'm very humbled by the struggle. I appreciate my struggle. I feel like if it wasn't for the things we've been through, we wouldn't be the person that we are today. So we need those tests in order to have the testimony. You need the mess to be in your life in order to catch the message. So without that, who am I? I can't deal with nobody that ain't been through nothing. I don't feel like we'll have anything in common. No shades to people that haven't, because I realize it's a big world. I'm just a being in it. It's a lot of people out here, so not everybody understand what it's like. But I respect people who have been through something, because I feel like the person that you are right now, today, in this moment, if you remove your struggles, if you remove your issues, if you remove your problems, you won't even really be the person you are with the mindset that you have today. And if you would, how would you even know that?
Slippery slope. Because you said, I gotta go back. Because with what I was saying, it's not to say I can't take advice from somebody like, I wasn't comparing it to degrees, because I'm big on, I don't even like to hire somebody just because they have a degree. I actually prefer experience over education, just because of the simple fact that I went to college for 2 years. I didn't stay in college because of business, but I went to college for 2 years, and I was a honors kid, high GPA, and all of the programs you could imagine for students that excel. But if I had to think back to my college experience, there's only two things I remember from college: time management and communication. I don't remember nothing else that I learned from those
College not
classes.
for everybody.
So just because a person has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, that doesn't move anything for me. Not in hiring, not even in advice, because I have gotten great business advice from people that most business owners I know actually don't go to college. Because the thing I always told my father, because he wanted me to go to school and get a degree, was, it's okay, I'll be the person to hire the person with the degree. I don't need the degree. It does nothing for me. But what I was trying to make the point of is that if I need business advice, and I'm a business owner, I need somebody that's on a higher level than me. So if I was if I was a hairstylist and I have a salon, I'm not going to the girl that's doing hair in the house. She can't help me, because she's not. I need people that are excelled past me to be able to get me to that level. So even
Excel
as far
to what?
as,
I'm trying to catch what you're going.
so I have mentees. I teach people how to start car rental companies.
Okay.
My mentees teach me stuff every single day.
Okay.
I love mentoring people because they bring a different perspective and they can teach me something.
Okay.
But if I'm in a situation with my company, I'm running a company that's bringing in $50,000 a month, and I'm teaching Alexandria how to run her company, and her company is making $30,000 a month. But I'm in a situation now where I'm on pause and my numbers are starting to drop. The chances of Alexandria teaching me how to do something to make more money when I'm in a situation where I'm making less is very unlikely, because she has not achieved that number that I've even touched.
Okay.
So therefore, while I'm not saying she can't teach me something, it's very, very unlikely. So in a situation where I'm going through a lot of stress and confusion, my first person that I'm turning to will not be her. It's not to say that she can't give me good advice or that she will not be able to help me, but she's not my first person that I'm bringing to the table. If you know anything like I know, whether it's a business or even if I'm in a situation where I'm struggling to pay rent, I'm not going to the person that's never paid rent before. Maybe they can give me good advice. I'm not saying that, oh, they're not smart enough. Maybe they can, but in a situation where I'm already overwhelmed, I'm the type of person where I don't like to feel like I need help. I like to do everything on my own. So it takes a lot for me to even get to a place where I want to ask for help. The little bit of energy that I have to be able to ask for help is going to be people that I am almost 99.9% sure they could give me the best advice to get myself out of the situation, not somebody that is going to be able to sit with me and speculate or repeat the same things back to me. And also the biggest thing about it too is I don't want to set somebody up for failure. So I might be going through something and I might not want to bring the problem to a certain person, because I don't want the person to feel as if they can't help me. If I feel as though they you get what I'm saying? If I feel as if they can't have a certain knowledge to be able to help me through a certain situation. So if I'm about, let's say I can't pay my rent and I'm at the third month, in the state of New Jersey, you got about 3 months before they really could get you out. I'm almost at the third month. I'm not going to go to a person. I might have a friend that's real close to me, but this person doesn't pay bills. This person doesn't pay rent. So I don't want to go to them and ask them for advice, because for one, I don't want the person to think I'm asking them for the money. Or for two, I don't want to set them up for failure where they're sitting there now feeling like, damn, I really don't know how to help him. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'd rather wait. I'd rather use the little bit of energy I have to go find somebody that I know could give me that advice. Does it make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense for you, because I feel like in those statements, a lot of it was wrapped around yourself, because you said I a lot. So I kept thinking of you, and I understand that makes sense for you. And I agree.
But that should make sense to anybody.
But it wouldn't though, because it's not the way I would go with it. You know, I just feel like if I want advice, I want advice, and if it's somebody right here,
Okay, let me pause you. I got something.
hold on, let me get it out. I got you.
I got something for that.
It's getting good. It's getting good, y'all. Y'all hang on to your seat because we not never gonna sit here and just say what you want to hear. I got you, but you know, a lot of what you were saying, I get that. I have been around you. I understand the kind of person that you are, and that makes sense for you to say exactly what you said. And I believe wholeheartedly that your approach in that way and finding that advice from who you need to find that advice from, I feel like you will be successful because you already had it made up in your mind that only a person on that level higher than you can assist you. So with that being said, that's automatic process of elimination from anybody beneath that. And if that's how you are, that's how you feel, who can go against that? Nobody. It's not going to make sense. You feel what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is when I'm speaking on this topic, I'm trying my best not to make it individualized to me. I'm trying to make it like open as I can and looking at it from different perspectives because I know that there are going to be different people that deal with making decisions on change. And I don't want to just give them one approach because you may have it in your mind that this is what I would do. This is what I would do. But I just feel like there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, it's more than one way to come up with a good answer, the right answer, you know. So I feel like when you limit yourself with one answer or one way of thinking or one way of getting to the answer, if something should happen, not saying it will, don't know if it won't, but if something should happen that doesn't work out right on that road, then what are your options? You're not leaving yourself with any. So my whole thing is I'm going to take the advice from probably more than one. Me personally, I don't deal with a lot of people. So if I was thinking about myself, I wouldn't be going to a lot of people anyway. But especially not a room full of people. Definitely not. I never would go to a room full of people to ask them anything but how they doing. Outside of that though, the person that we're trying to help in this video, I want you to feel like you don't have to know, because not everybody knows somebody that's above them. You know, me personally, where I come from, I didn't have a lot of people around me that was above me. I was the above person. And I know a lot of people can relate to being that person that was the giver, that person that was the way maker for so many, that person that, you know, that everybody called for help, you know. So when you are that person, and I'm speaking to that person right now, because of course we can only speak one at a time. But if I'm talking to that person, if you're the kind of person that you are the hierarchy, you're the person that everybody comes to, and a lot of times that's how it be, and you're looking for advice, you're not going to want to necessarily go to just anybody. But I will say the people that you have supported, even though they may be a little bit below you, go to them as well. Go to them as well, because honestly, I feel like they the ones for sure that need to give back. You've been giving them, you've been there for them. Taking advice and listening to it doesn't mean I'm going to actually apply it to my life. It just means I'm going to hear you. And then if I can do my research and find somebody that's into this, you know, or find a way to connect with somebody that's above that I don't personally know, you know, but word of mouth is vicious, y'all. You know, start talking to people. Everybody knows somebody. When I was getting married, I was looking for a DJ. I put a post on my page, and before I knew it,
still got a question though.
Several DJs reached out to me.
So let me circle back. I'm a business owner, and I'm telling you that I'm having an issue with my business where I'm struggling.
Right.
And my business is struggling bad, and my numbers are dropping. Your perspective is that I should be willing to take advice from somebody that
not
even.
That's it.
But you said
my
I should be open.
My perspective is you should be open to listening to advice. I didn't say take it. Remember, I said don't apply it to your life.
So I should be open to listening to advice from somebody, even if it's not somebody that's making more than me in business.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's run this hypothetical. This is a hypothetical. You're in a marriage and you're married. You've been married for a very long time. You've been married for 30 years now. And for the last 2 years, it has been very, very rocky, and it's a lot at stake.
Okay.
You got 2 phone calls to make. I'm sorry, you got 1 phone call to make.
Okay.
And there's only 2 people in your contact list.
Okay.
Somebody that has been married for longer than you, a lot more experience, or somebody that's been through 8 divorces. You're going to tell me that you want to pick up the phone.
8 divorces, hand down.
But you.
Period. 8 divorces, hand down.
So you want the marriage advice from the person that's been divorced 8 times? I'm going to the person that had 8 divorces, hands down. I lie to you not. Why wouldn't I?
You done been divorced 8 times, and I'm not trying to get divorced, so I need to go to you. Cause you gonna teach
how would a
me
divorced
in
person
turn
be able
how
to
to not
teach
get
you?
because they've been divorced 8 times. Think about it.
But they clearly cannot demonstrate how to maintain
No,
a relationship.
baby, no, baby, no.
That's crazy.
This person that's been married for 60 years has the experience of only that person that they've been with for 60 years. This person that's been married 8 times has the experience of 8 different relationships. You get what I'm saying? You looking at it from how I'm looking at it. Y'all listening? Y'all get what I'm saying?
Okay, but a person.
So I'm gonna go over here to this person that's had 8 divorces, and I'm gonna talk to them because guess what? They got a lot of experience, right? Remember, you hire people for experience. They got a lot of experience.
But if you're
a lot
gonna
more,
go with that,
because let me finish. If a person tell you, because I'm married, I've been married now for 9 years. Let me tell you, that person that's been married all that time can give you some great advice. Hands down, I'm not gonna say they can't, but I am gonna say they can only give you advice based off of that marriage and that encounter. You know, they're going to be talking about their experiences, which that's all we all can do, right? But at the end of the day, we're talking about the 2 people in my options. So that person can give me some advice, some good advice, I'm sure. But the person that has the experience to me is that person. Now think about it. People tell me, real, you know, I came out of high school, I married my high school sweetheart. And I've been married. If that person been married for 30 years, they obviously married somebody, high school sweetheart, maybe a little bit older than that, give or take a few years, but they've been married to them a long time. They don't have the experience from most relationships, right? So for me, it's like going to them and getting advice, it would be okay if I didn't really have no other options. But if I had that person, you know, because even talking to people like that have been married that long, it's a part of them that feel like they didn't get to experience life. Sometimes people divorce after 30 years because they feel like they want to actually see what it was like, you know, test the waters. Like they feel like, okay, this is a great marriage, and you know, I love you, but I feel cheated. You know, I have privately done sessions with people who have been married for a long time, and they have told me like, you know, bro, I wish I would have waited. You know, I love my husband, and my husband and me, we have the best relationship we have, but I wish I would have gotten a little bit of experience. I wish I wouldn't have just straight out of high school married this man at 18, and now I'm 50 years old, and I really feel cheated out of life. I don't feel like I got to soil my natural oats. I don't feel like I got to look around and shop around. I went with this. It was good then. It's still good. Actually, I can attest to a person, a celebrity right now that I followed in that exact thing. And I know a lot of y'all that's listening to me. If you know this celebrity, Tia Mowry, she just went through a divorce. She married her husband, Corey, right out of Sister Sister. This is a public thing. She actually has a show now called Tia Mowry. And she's actually wrapping her show around exactly what I'm saying right now. She feels like that she married her first love, you know, her first everything. And, you know, the reason that they divorced now is because they technically grew apart, and she felt cheated. She felt like, you know, she had no other experiences besides Corey, you know, and then she started feeling like, well, now I got to stay with Corey because everybody knows me to be with Corey. So if I leave, now I'm going to be the home wrecker. I'm going to be the person that broke up a happy home, when really I feel like it was too soon for me as a woman, as an adult. Now I know that I should have waited to get married. I should have experienced life a little bit. So that person, even though you might see them on the outside as a failure at that particular thing, I feel like practice makes perfect, right?
Fine.
So
I gotta
think
switch it.
about Jordan. Hold on. Think about Jordan. Think about anybody that practiced. And I feel like all that person with 8 marriages did is practicing. And eventually they're going to get it right.
Okay, if you say so. I don't know nobody that got divorced 8
Please
times
leave
and
us
ended
some
up
comments on this piece.
in a successful relationship.
Because I want to
but
know what y'all think too, not just me.
Since I'm gonna play my age to defend myself. Since
Let's get it. Let's go.
Since I'm 23 and I've
Would
never
you
been
marry
married
today and be married for 50 years?
No.
Not at all.
Well, what's out here on the menu? It ain't happening.
I ain't lying. That menu is
so
crazy.
Let me switch it then. I'm gonna make the playing field
Come
more
on,
level.
throw it to me.
Since you used to be a supervisor, you did hiring and firing and management like that, and I used to do that. I think this would be a fair one to use. Is
Okay.
Let's say, using the whole thing that I said before, right? Let's say you have 2 people in front of you. You're running a company. It could be your own company, whatever the case may be. You're running somebody's company or whatever. And this company is desperate. Sound like my own company. Is desperate to hire somebody. They need to hire somebody. and you got two resumes in front of you. You got a resume of somebody that they had, one decent job, but then you got a resume of somebody that's had 16 jobs in 1 year. You mean to tell me you're going to take your chance with the person that's had 16 jobs in 1 year?
Different scenario. That's different from what we just was talking about.
So now we getting to where
and
I was going.
I'm not saying I wouldn't consider that person, but I'm just saying, I try not to be biased. That's for one. In all honesty, I am a fair person. I am fair. Let me give you me. I just went through a whole lot of jobs in the last year. I've been struggling with my health. It's not because I'm not a good worker. It's because my health showed up. And I respect the fact that I had to resign, that I get it. From a business standpoint, they have to go with what's best for the business. But that I feel like you could have built more loyalty in me by standing by my side. When you give somebody a chance that has a resume that don't look good, and they know they have 16 jobs they got fired from, and they applying to you, I guarantee you, and I have hired several people, you give an opportunity to that person that have had 16 jobs they failed at, and 9 times out of 10, you job number 17, you'll probably be the one that get it right.
Oh, wow.
It's possible. It's more possible than that person that you give a chance that don't got a history at all.
But you didn't answer my question. You moved the goalpost again.
I'm just trying to follow you, but
you running a struggling company.
Company.
And this is like a desperate thing. You need somebody in here, and you got one resume with somebody that has had 16 jobs in 1 year, and you got somebody that they had maybe one job.
Right.
You mean to tell me, with a right mind, you're gonna go ahead and take your chance with the person that had 16 jobs? And I'm not saying that this person can't be, somebody that's went through X, Y, and Z, but we're talking now from a business standpoint.
First of all, I don't hire people based off of only their resume. I know that a resume
ain't nothing but...
No, listen, and I know y'all feel me because he said it more than once. He said you have 2 resumes in front of you. I'm going off of what I'm hearing, and y'all correct me.
But you're only going off these resumes.
He's saying you only going off of the resumes. I don't hire people based off of... If I'm hiring, you're a struggling company, you need more than just a resume. If you struggling, maybe that's the reason you struggling, because you only looking at the 2 resumes. You got to actually do some interviews. You got to do some actual shadowing days. I don't know what they call it for a lot of people, but where I come from in Maryland, we call it share days, where a person come in and they show us. We actually let them come in. But
for this scenario, you cannot do that.
For this scenario, if I absolutely couldn't do nothing but look at the 2 pieces of paper, then I would need to understand why. But okay, I'll go off of that. I can only look at these 2 pieces of paper. I'm gonna take my chances with the 16 fails, because I feel like I'm in a struggling situation and they're in a struggling situation too.
Yeah, but
how can I be
business.
Hypocritical? It is business, but
business.
My whole thing is, if they struggling enough and I'm struggling, obviously, then I'm gonna take my chances with them, because I feel like they should be tired of the struggle by now.
So if this person got a situation, they're struggling, they're going through X, Y, and Z, and you're struggling, in your mind, it would make more sense to bring another struggling person to help.
We got something in common. It seemed like we got a lot in common. And that's what you want to hire. Somebody you can relate to. The last thing you want is an oppositional person to work with every day. You say left, they say right. You say up, they say down. And I've had them kind of workers. You can't teach them their job because they swear they already know it. I do not like workers like that. So that person that's been there, and I'm telling you now, of course, if we in a perfect world doing the right thing as a lie, we don't do that. You gonna pick that resume, of that person that had the one job and it was there for the whole year consistently. But at the end of the day, that'll probably be the person that caused your company to completely fail. Because if you do what you always done, you're going to get what you always got. Maybe you as the employer need to switch up the way that you're actually picking people. Because if you're a struggling company, you got to take responsibility for why you're struggling. You got to do something different. That's what this that's what this podcast is all about.
I'm not gonna let this go the way it's
going.
Go
with the other people, because your first choice been getting you in a fucked up situation.
No, because the way you making it sound like to me is that I'm somebody that can't see a person's situation.
You said it's a struggling company,
right?
I'm looking at it like, if I'm a struggling company, I got my own business, I'm struggling. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it real.
Why would you want
if
another
I'm struggling, it's some shit I done wrong, right or wrong. If I'm struggling, you ain't said it was a
if
good
I'm
company that's thriving. You said it's a struggling company. That's what I'm locked
no, the
on.
company was doing good, but it started to struggle.
Was don't matter no more. It's today.
Okay,
It's struggling.
it's struggling.
So it's a reason why my company is struggling, and a lot of that probably comes from my decision making. So all I'm saying is, like we saying, people got to be willing to take a chance and do something different. My first instant is probably going to be that resume, is what I'm saying. And you go to do that, and then you end up in the same situation. Why not switch it up and do something different? I mean, because honestly, you're taking a gamble looking at resumes anyway. Them two resumes are probably lies.
I
both
still
of them.
gotta clarify
And
because
nobody's gonna put they lost 16 jobs on a resume.
oh
That's
yeah, I
not
can show
gonna
you
happen.
one right now on my phone.
I mean, they may put if anybody put down that they actually lost 16 jobs.
well, they don't put they lost them, but they'll put this is where
The
they work,
years.
this is where they work. And what I noticed,
I don't know nobody to tell the truth about the years
yeah,
they
but,
worked at a
no,
job.
but what
They
I
be
noticed
lying.
about people, they really feel as though putting this many jobs on a resume makes it look like, oh my God, I
They're
have
qualified.
this plethora of experience. But 16 in 1 year just demonstrates that you don't stay anywhere. So me as an employer, if I need help,
I don't know
I don't
nobody
want
that's ever
nobody
done that.
that-
And I've hired a
no.
lot of people. I've never ran across a resume. You may have. I have not ran across a resume that had 16 jobs in 1 year unless they was doing some other things strange for some change, you know.
And just to
I
clarify
respect the hustle.
too, because I feel like you made the narrative more so that, like, I don't see the different perspectives of what the situations could be. Yeah, it could be case by case, but I have done that before where I've tried to do something different in the aspect of let me go with the non-traditional route of let me try a different
That's
person.
all I'm saying.
That's how I ended up with a honey bun eater at my first front
A
desk.
who? The
A-
honey
a
bun-
honey bun eater. Okay, so
But how can we say this
Listen.
is about doing different if we're gonna say don't do different?
no, I'm saying do different, but you know, educatedly do different. That's why I say bring 3 people to the table because y'all don't know how traumatizing it is to come in and you're looking for a pen and your secretary don't got pens but got a family sized box of honey buns, Twinkies, and devil dogs. Like
Y'all,
that's
he
why
is
I
not
say
making it up.
you need 3 people around you that can help you make educated decisions. So if I'm looking to hire and I don't know nothing about hiring, I'm not about to ask Tom, Dick, and Harry that has never done anything with hiring to help me find a honey bun eater. I need 3
I'm
people
trying to
on
tell
the
you.
team that
Who
can help me
hired the
find a
honey bun
quality
eater?
person. Oh yeah, that was me. And you know why? You know why? And you know why it was me?
We gotta pause right there.
But
Did
you know
y'all
why?
hear him? And he cannot
But you know
crop this
why?
out. He said he hired the honey bun eater.
I co-signed
My
it.
case
I
is
did.
closed.
I did because I followed the advice that you just tried to give the people.
I would have never told you to
Take
hire
the
the honey
chance
bun
with the
eater,
person
baby.
with the 16 jobs because you struggling and they
he
struggling.
not that person.
It might be good
Now
for
the
you.
honey bun
I
eater is
hired
the
the
16
struggler.
job
Yeah,
person.
well, that wasn't the 16 job person, but that was the person that had the resume that looked very unfeasible. So you know, you took a chance, and now I got a bunch of honey buns at the desk. Can't find any pen nowhere.
Well, that's why I say you gotta go with you chose that before, and now hopefully you do different to get different.
But you know what? Also with relating this to our topic of doing different to get different, it was an experience as well.
Yeah.
So anything that I ever go through, and this is the thing, going back to people that struggle with feeling like they're scared of failure. You
Okay.
can't fail, right? Failure is a part of the process to being successful. So with me making a decision like that and ending up with an employee like that, I now have the experience to know what I should and should not do moving
Right.
forward. But I also, again, I took something from the situation. So I learned about this person,
Yeah.
and it actually it gives me another skill set. Even as far as people when they want to start businesses, I always tell them stop being scared of failing. Do the different to get the different because failure is going to be a part of the process that makes you more successful. And then even for me now, being somebody that coaches people in business,
Right.
I like my failures. And what's so crazy is that recently
Come on, there you
I
go.
had a-
Now we talking.
Recently, I had a customer that, whatever the case may be, I guess one of my employees kept his security deposit. I don't know. I really don't care to know the whole situation right now.
Right.
But he tried to turn it where he tried to go out and find my imperfections and use them to try to say this is why he shouldn't be coaching. But what he actually did was a big mistake because I actually used my failures to tell people
Yep.
this is why I could coach you because I've already been through that. So when I have a mentee that's in a situation where he just got a car and he's like, you know what, Malcolm, I got a customer. I'm trying to get this out on the road right now. I had the experience of having my car stolen before and walking that. So I can't just sympathize with my mentees. I can empathize with them because I've been through those things. So the failures actually, they build you up and they make you
Yes,
stronger.
they do. Testing the testimony, messing the message. That's all I've been saying the whole time. You know, at the end of the day, this was wrapped around just doing something different. So I was trying my best not to go with what I would have done, you know, out of just how I am per se. and trying to look outside the box and see a different way of thinking and a different way of doing it. But honestly, you guys, it's no one way. It's not just my way. It's not just his way. It's not just your way. There are a million and one ways. And just be willing to try to find one that suits you at the time and at that place, because this is my thing, especially with hiring people. Not everybody is at the same place at the same time. And I always like to say I love meeting people where they are and growing with them to where I want them to be or where they want to be, you know. So my whole thing is, just because you're not here today don't mean you won't be there tomorrow. And I feel like a lot of people that have made it to certain levels, you know, get big headed and they start thinking that they can't come back down. They start thinking that nobody else can surpass them. And I'm not saying, you know, that you can't feel good about your achievement, but I've always been humble. So I don't relate to feeling like I'm better than. And I've been in situations where I'm looking at my life and looking at somebody else's life and realizing that I'm achieving more than this person. But I don't underestimate anybody. I've seen people that started late, was a late bloomer at things, and they surpassed everything and anything around them. And I just feel like if more people would each one teach one, you know, and be willing. I feel like anybody successful, especially business owners, we should all have, you know, a mentee. You should be giving back in some kind of way. When I reach a level of success where I have more financial stability, I want to definitely be able to give back to the community, you know, especially my youth, you know what I mean, to be able to support them in whatever their dreams and aspirations, because I feel like that's the big gap right there, the bridge right there, is that a lot of people don't have the support that they need, you know, because they came from a broken foundation for starters. And then, you know, that twinkles back to, if mama didn't learn it, how can she teach it to me? You know, so that's why it's so important that if you are a business owner and you are teaching courses, it should be somebody that you do it pro bono. You know what I mean? And I know I've witnessed you do it. You know, you teach me a lot, you know, about being a business owner. I never even really thought about ownership until I met my brother, you know. And so it's possible, and you're younger than me, you know, almost half my age, you know. So I just feel like we can all benefit each other in different ways. Maybe I can't get the advice to starting this business, but maybe you know what to do in a stressful situation. And anybody that's running a business will tell you it can be stressful at times, you know. So maybe you can't give me advice
And I was
on
just
how
about to talk about that too.
right, make that actual deal work or make you the more money, but maybe you're somebody that has have learned how to meditate or pray, or you know. And I just feel like that's why I say you can learn anything from anybody. So take what you can learn from a person and be a student, because as much as I love to teach, y'all can tell by how I talk, I love to teach, but I love more than that being a student. You know, when I'm not on my platforms, I'm sitting somewhere. My friends that I deal with on a daily, honestly, are in their 50s, 60s. I have friends that are in their 80s. You know, I love connecting to older people. I really was never the type, and I know a lot of y'all can relate that's listening, that dealt with people my own age or younger than me. I always gravitate. You know, my father was in his 70s, you know, when I was born. So from him. So maybe that's why I have an old spirit, but I really love being a student, being able to listen to somebody. And not everybody love that. Not everybody like that, because sometimes people don't have the right presentation to teach. You want to teach in a way that don't make somebody feel belittled, that don't make somebody feel stupid, that don't make somebody, because then I'm not going to want to listen to you. I'm going to be more defensive. I'm going to be more like trying to stick up for myself, because even though you got this business, I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? I might want a business. I might not want a business, but regardless to the point, if we correct our presentation, more people will want to be students, more people will be more successful, more people will want to be teachers. You know, teaching is one of the, I guess, lowest paying occupations, and I don't even understand how and why, because isn't that who teach the doctors? How did the doctor make more than the teacher? You know, so I just feel like this world, you know, I'm always go back to this world we live in is backwards, you know, but at the end of the day, I pray that you guys understand that. I know that when I speak, I'm a little all over the place, but as you watch the podcast, you will see that I just try my best to be unjudgmental, and I want to be approachable by all people white, black, big, small, skinny, rich, poor, middle class, upper class, lower class. I just want to be able to relate to the person because I feel like every one person is important. Every one person has a purpose.
And that's why I love to teach too, is because I come from that background where it's like I didn't feel like what I'm doing now was even achievable. Like I still have these moments where it feels so surreal. Like it'll just dawn on me. Like somebody will say something like, "Oh my God, look at what you're driving," but I'm like, sometimes I don't even smell the roses. Like I don't even realize. So I love to teach it for that reason. And of I come from the background, so I know what it feels like, and I love to find a person that comes from a similar situation. For as me, as maybe you have a single mother, or
That part.
you're in a situation where you don't come from money, you don't have inheritances. I tell people all the time, and they think I say it as a joke, but any of my relatives, they didn't leave me nothing. I got left the family trauma. I didn't got left no money in a bank account, no car, no. And people that get left that stuff, that's good. But a lot of us are not left that stuff, and I feel like because we're not left it, we're always trying to get it out the mud. So to the person that's doing DoorDash, I would never throw shade at the person for doing DoorDash. I just want this person to just hear me out and understand that just because your father didn't leave you a car, just because your mother didn't leave you money, that doesn't mean that you need to be doing DoorDash all day, because everybody else that comes from your situation, it seems like they're all the hard workers. I tell people all the time, I can't work hard no more. I don't want to work hard no more. I want to work smart, because the people that I see that are where I want to be in life, they're not working hard. They have on flip-flops on Monday. They're not putting on steel-toe boots and going into work Monday morning at 5 a.m. They're getting up, they're putting flip-flops on, and they're going to play golf. I'm done working hard. I'm ready to work smart. So my final advice to a person that's going through something where it's time to do something to get different is surround yourself by people that are doing what it is that you want to do, and don't be scared of the change, because the thing that I feel like a lot of people are scared of is the failure, but the failure is going to be a part of that process to getting you to where you need to be. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, you got to understand, another thing that a person will say when they see my situations is they'll be like, "Oh my God, but why would I want to start a business? You seem so stressed out." And I'm not going to lie and sit here and act like my life is all peaches and clams and I don't struggle. Just today, I was sitting in the bathroom and I was just sitting on the floor, and I felt so alone, because it does feel lonely at the top when you're going through business issues that everybody else might not be able to know the right answers to, where you got to sit there and you got to figure out. It doesn't feel good all the time when you got to come up with money in 3 days that other people would look at that like, what? Like it'd be a day where it's like, I got to produce $20,000 in 3 days. Who am I really going to go talk to that could tell me how to pull 20,000 in 3 days? And you got X, Y, and Z going on. You got this going on with this customer, this going on with that customer, this going on with this employee. So it is a lot. But what I always tell people when they say that to me is, look at your situation and ask yourself, is the situation you're going through in life, is that not already a lot? Do you not feel a lot when you got to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work? Do you not feel a lot when you're sitting there and you're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul? Do you not feel a lot when you know you don't have no food in the refrigerator? So to me, you're already in a situation where you're in a perfect setup to go ahead and try something different in order to get something different. So that's my final piece of advice as it relates to it. But the biggest thing that I want people to be able to take away from it is that I would never be the type of person where anything I'm saying is meant to, like, in a sense, tear down. It's more so meant to, like, get you to, like, open up to the different ideas. So when I speak and I say what I say, some people actually get very offended by it, believe it or not. They'll take it as, oh, you think you're better than me? No, I'm trying to teach you how to be better than me. I need that. It does something for me to have a person around me that is doing better than me, because you do have those moments where, even if you're not owning a business, you feel like you're not doing enough, or
I
feel
don't
like
get that from you.
you don't get what from
I
me.
don't get that. When you say, not to cut you off, I apologize for that, but when you say people thinking that you're better than them, or whatever, they think you're better than them because you're saying this or you're saying that. I don't get that from you. I've come to you for advice. I've seen you give advice, good advice.
But I can't be modest about it.
I just
I've
don't feel
it.
like you, and I get you probably do get that, and that's why I'm saying something publicly about it, because I always want to be able to take the moment to really sow into a person, and I just want you to know that doing what you're doing and you're letting people know, not everybody is meant to go where you're going, and I know you know that, and not everybody is going to be happy with your life and what you're doing, and people are going to judge it from the outside in. People are going to judge it and they ain't never even stepped foot into your shoes or your way of thinking or nothing. But I think you're an amazing person. I think that you got it out the mud, and your mud was the way your mud was. My mud was the way my mud was, and your friend that was doing DoorDash, he got different mud. I just don't want to confuse what we're saying by. I don't want anybody to listen to what we said tonight and think that we have anything against anybody doing any occupation, because I want to reiterate 1,000 times that if you're doing it, it's yours. It belongs to you. It's an honest living. You like it, I love it. That's how I feel about it, in my opinion. Tap into what you want to do with your life. But yes, there are so many ways these days. That's why I don't understand when people don't do nothing with themselves. I think we definitely should do a topic about that. The lazy, the procrastinators.
And I agree with what you said on that.
Because like the people that's doing nothing, bro, I feel like we should shine light on that. But the person that's
we can't
really
shine light on that. We gotta shine light on the people that's enabling them. Okay, the person sitting in the room playing video games all day, they on somebody's electric bill. They just let me.
Yeah, I can't.
Let me leave it alone.
We gonna go there because that's a good one. I think we both gonna really touch and agree a lot on that. But you guys, we're sitting here before you. We're trying to be as real as we can. We thank y'all for even tuning in. The advice keeps going in the comments, so don't be afraid to leave a comment. We will be replying to them. He'll be replying to them. I'll be replying to him. You guys will be replying to each other. Please help the Child's Place get off the ground. We're showing you us at this level, and we're going to take you to where we go. We're going to be looking for new ideas. If it's something you want us to see, even if it's a topic you want us to kind of talk about, drop it in the comments. You know what I mean? Look us up. My social media, Facebook is Real the Comedian, no spaces. Same thing on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. We are here for it. Can you give your tags? And we're also going to post it right up in here somewhere. We'll have both
it'll
of
be
our
down in the
tags
description.
down
But before we do the tags, I think it's important for the people to know, for one, we're sitting here with Mickey Mouse, and I think we forgot to tell y'all about that. We're down in Florida right now.
Yes.
And I say this to motivate somebody, but if it wasn't for me going out there and going through all the failures that I went through, I wouldn't have been able to say, let's just pick up and go to Florida. Like,
Right.
this would have had to been very long planned and saved up for. But because I went through all of those obstacles now, I mean, we got Mickey Mouse on the wall. So let that motivate somebody, for one. For two, circling back before I give you the tags about the video games, if there's anybody out there that has a grown, able-bodied adult in their house that sits and plays video games all day, I want you to personally send me a message, because like I told my mother, and I don't think I told you this, but I'm done, okay? I want to go curl up in the room. I want to play video games all day.
Too.
Like, I don't,
we got a game room too here, you guys.
I don't want to be responsible no more. I'm done being the
You have
responsible
your
adult.
moments.
So yeah, if you one of those people that are okay and you make excuses for it, call me. I'll sit in the room and play video games. I love Grand Theft Auto.
Yes.
But my tags is Money Malk on everything social media. Money is spelled with a 0, MALC. Yeah, MALC. Just Malk at the end. But like she said, we appreciate the support. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. If it's something that you want to see from us, if it's a topic that you want us to speak on, we need to see the topic in the comments. And that's it for now.
That's it for now. Oh, before we end, you guys, I just want to send a shout out to my husband. Happy birthday. Taurus season. Make some noise. If you're a Taurus, drop a blue heart in the comments, you guys, to show some love for my husband's birthday. 47 years old this year in 2025. May 3rd, Taurus season. We're loving it. So I love you, hubby. If you're watching this, thank you for your support. I pray that you had the best birthday weekend that you could have ever had. And also, I thank my brother right here, you guys, and I pray that this part stays in the video. But it's just a blessing to be a blessing to somebody. So we have been blessed and touched. And so he is a part of the message that he brings, you guys. I am a part of the message that I bring. We good people, but we going to show it to y'all. we going to prove it to you, because trust is not given, it's earned. So have a good night, and we will see you in the next video.